Hello. I have wanted to make one of these since I saw other people do it, and I disagreed pretty heavily with a lot of the list that I saw because a lot of people are very clearly trying to, please everyone. So I'm going to assume that this is unmodded, no hardcore. Okay. So Action Boy is a terrible perk because VATS is terrible. VATS in New Vegas only gives 5% crit chance as opposed to the 15% you'd get in Fallout 3. There's quite an annoying bug that happens pretty often where you kind of get stuck in VATS for like 5-7 seconds and you just sit there and take damage. Even if neither of those statements were true, VATS still wouldn't be worth using because one, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to use, and two, it doesn't really do anything for you. You're better off just not using it and just playing the game faster. But honestly, by this point of humanity's existence, you should just be using a bullet time mod instead of VATS. It's vastly superior. Adamantine Skeleton is also pretty terrible for the simple fact that 50% damage taken less on limbs is not relevant. If you take enough limb damage that you'd ever want to take this perk in the first place, you'll just get the challenge for it. And the challenge is just as good as the perk. You break 30 limbs and you get effectively this perk. So that's pretty pointless. Alertness is 2 perception when you're crouching and standing still. The only time you'd ever want to do this is if you're going for a sneak attack. And if you're going for a sneak attack, why do you need +2 perception? When has +2 perception ever helped you out there? Stay back is 10% chance to knock down an enemy with each pellet of a shotgun. Oh, sorry. Stumbled over my words there. Everyone has seen the clips of a guy with the riot gun using this and just knocking down like 7 Deathclaws every shot in Quarry Junction. We all know this perk is game breaking. It literally takes away everyone's ability to act or do anything. You could put 100 legendary Deathclaws in front of just like let's say could be the only perk that you take. And you can have 100 legendary Deathclaws in front of you, and they will just be endlessly and permanently stun locked because of this perk. So that pretty obviously breaks the game. Animal Friend is not good. So when I put a perk in this territory, by the way, if you want to take it for a roleplay reason, whatever, I don't care. But they are just objectively not good, useless perks. So one, this perk Animal Friend requires you to have 6 charisma. Not dumping charisma in New Vegas means you're already committing to like not super caring about anything, playstyle. Anyway, this makes hostile animals neutral, and then if you spend another perk on it, which is insane, those neutral animals will help you in combat. Then you consider that animals almost never overlap with human fighters in this game, and there's basically no reason to take this. So in Fallout 3, there were preset enemies at locations. But there was also, because Bethesda was afraid of the casual Guilo getting bored just walking around the entirely empty, unfilled world of Fallout 3, they wanted to spawn enemies. That's why, like, when you're walking from Megaton to Super Duper Mart, you will almost always encounter exactly 2 animals. Usually a mole rat and then another mole rat, or a wild dog and another wild dog. So this led to and also one of the things that would spawn because it was level listed, because of course it was Yaoguai. So once you were level 30, walking to any location basically meant you were always going to encounter a Yaoguai or two, which meant this perk actually had value because not only would you not have to fight what is basically just a Deathclaw, it would actually go and help you in combat. So it's still not good there, and that's with all of that working in its favor. New Vegas has none of that shit, and the animals in New Vegas are way weaker than in Fallout 3, so this perk is terrible. You're spending 2 entire perk points, 4 levels. Almost 10% of your entire build is going towards preset, shitty, weak animals helping you. This perk is absurdly terrible. Atomic. This is an old world blues perk. So this perk is interesting. In irradiated areas, so when you're taking environmental radiation damage, which is only happening in like the Courier's Mile, the Long 15 if you choose to nuke those places at Lonesome Road, and like the fucking bunker for Mr. House. Outside of that, 99% of the gameplay does not happen in irradiated areas, so this perk is already terrible. But anyway, it's 25% move speed and attack speed, plus 2 damage threshold, and plus 2 strength. That is all really good. And if this was something you could just get by taking the perk, it would be S tier. The problem is you are never benefiting from any of that. So here's the only thing you actually benefit from in this perk. AP regen scales from 1.1 times to 1.5 times. I don't know why it doesn't just say 10% per radiation level, because that's what it does. For each level of radiation sickness you have, you get 10% faster AP regen. Without a bullet time mod, there is no real reason, or a sprint mod, there is really no reason to be spending AP like at all in vanilla New Vegas. It is a completely useless stat. So, anything that only affects that is also going to be pretty useless. Better criticals is like 50% increase to your critical multiplier, which is fucking absurd. Now, why is this not game breaking, you might ask? Because it's just that. It's just damage. And while, yes, it's incredibly good and you should be taking this in every single build, it's not game breaking. If I drop 1,000 legendary Deathclaws in front of you and stay back, if assuming you have like 10,000 shotgun shells, that perk alone can single-handedly beat that. Better criticals can't. So just to kind of, game breaking is for perks that physically alter things that are just supposed to be true in like the base state of New Vegas. Whereas S tier is just stuff you should like always be taking. Okay, so the sexuality perks are really simple. This is damage versus men if you're a woman. This is damage versus men if you're a man. This is damage versus women if you're a woman. This is damage versus women if you're a man. Okay, there you go. 90% of the enemies you fight in any Fallout game are going to be male humans. Well, really, it's more like 70%, with like 30% being random shit like super mutants and animals. There are more dialogue checks on men. There is an overwhelming amount of men that you fight, and you always want to take every damage perk possible. Which is why these perks are still a D tier, because you still kind of take them just because. Bloody Mess is S tier for a bit of a... This is where we start getting into where I start having disagreements with seemingly everyone, and the logic makes no sense. So Bloody Mess is 5% damage. Damage is always good. Damage always triumphs against everything else in this game. And Bloody Mess in particular has a fun interaction with the damage system. So automatic weapons are the best weapons in New Vegas. Automatic energy weapons in particular. But automatics are the best guns in New Vegas. This is not an arguable fact at all. And automatics have, and I'll explain why, because don't worry, when we get to the perks that kind of break the game, you'll see why that is. So anyway, New Vegas also rounds your damage up. So if Bloody Mess takes you from, say, 15, that 5% adds 0.3 damage, and you go from, let's say you also take Psycho, you go from 15 to like 15.6, you round up to that 16 damage. Bloody Mess can single-handedly enable you when you're only supposed to get like 0.2 extra damage from it. It can end up giving you a whole point of damage, which actually means it's closer to like a 15% damage increase. And that's all because of how New Vegas rounds, which is why you kind of always want to take this perk. Because it has a near game breaking in how much benefit you get from it synergy with the best weapons. And again, it's still just free damage. This Broad Daylight, this perk is being able to stealth with the Pip-Boy light on and not receive any penalty. Who gives a fuck? Just turn it off. Also, I will say about Bloody Mess, the worst part about it is the actual Bloody Mess. It makes looting a nightmare. Burden to Bear is really bad because you get it at like level 30. The problem is, by level 30, you already have enough money that you kind of just give up on looting at this point. And like, what does another 50 carry? You already start with like, what, like 200 carry capacity in like vanilla New Vegas. Outside of modded New Vegas, there's really no reason to ever want to take this. By level 30, you don't care about picking gear up anymore, and you already have a ridiculous amount of carry weight, just vanilla. Long Haul is a perk that you really shouldn't ever take, but it saves you enough convenience that I would understand why someone would take it. This perk is only useful in 2 areas, after dead money with the gold bars, and after wiping out the Brotherhood. However, let me offer an alternative to both of those. More so dead money than the Brotherhood. You can just use the Old World Blues Transportal Ponder to go to Old World Blues, transport back to the Mojave, and the Drive-In Express is pretty damn close to Prim. So you can just drop the gold bars and then walk them to Prim, and then use the Prim like express thing, the New Vegas like Courier Express drop boxes, and then drop the gold off at Freeside, and now you can just walk the gold to the gun runners. And yeah, it takes like 5-7 minutes, but there you go. It's the best merchant in the game, and all the gold is there, and you don't need to waste a perk point. Cannibal is terrible because you are never going to use this for its effect outside of roleplay, and you're never going to care about anything this perk provides you other than the Meat of Champions. The problem is, one, the Meat of Champions is only doable if you're going to go for like a chaotic new independent Vegas route. So like who really cares about that? And two, the effect itself isn't even that good. Ghastly Scavenger is not a perk that should exist. Cannibal should just do this because, again, you're not seriously trying to heal with this, nor are you stopping to do this in combat. So, like, who cares about ghouls, super mutants? Because that's all this perk is. It's Cannibal for super mutants and ghouls. Honestly, Ghastly Scavenger and Cannibal should be like linked together. They should just be rolled into one perk. And honestly, Cannibal should just give you like the Meat of Champions effect. Center of Mass. Oh, I need to actually look this one up to know the exact thing that it does. But I know this perk is terrible and you shouldn't take it. I just don't know the exact description. In VATS, you do an additional 15% damage when targeting the torso. So this perk, you might think this perk is like up here because that sounds pretty good. And it's definitely the best bad perk, but problem, one, you have to use VATS. That's problem number one. You'll get more damage by just not going into VATS and just shooting without the VATS slowdown. Two, damage is good, but it's when targeting the torso. The problem is, if you're actually going to use VATS, you're basically always going to get guaranteed headshots. That's the whole reason you use VATS. And because there is a 2x damage bonus for hitting the head in New Vegas, just using VATS, targeting the head, and hitting it is a 100% damage increase. This is a 15% damage increase for hitting a body part that gives you nothing. So this is like 1/10 the effect of had you just clicked the head instead of the chest. And again, if you actually care about VATS, you'll take a perk like Commando, which basically gives you a 100% chance to hit the head. Certified Tech. This is one of the DLC perks. This is one of the perks that you, I think, if I remember correctly, you would take. You just don't really have the perk points for it. I have to read the actual description, though, because it's just not something people take. Yeah, 25% critical hit chance against robots and 85% chance of finding extra crafting components on destroyed robots. So this perk is nice. It comes in at level 40, which by then you don't really care about anything. But this perk is pretty mid. The crit chance is nice. There are some really dangerous robots. Like, if this perk came online at, like, level, 15 to 20-ish, so you could really use it in Old World Blues, because really you take this perk to just walk through Old World Blues. But the problem is, by level 40, you just don't care about anything like this. But you can, it's the perfect example of a middle of the road perk. Chem resistant. This is half as likely to get addicted. This perk is pointless because curing an addiction costs like 50 caps and can be done at any doctor. And there's a doctor in like every single fucking quadrant of New Vegas. They are like crawling out of the woods. Like, you can just ask any doctor to cure you of an addiction. So why even bother with this? Chemist is game breaking because of a synergy I will talk about later, but Chemist just doubles the effect of chems. Commando. This perk is pretty bad. It's 25% accuracy in VATS for two-handed weapons, and because VATS is not really worth using, this perk isn't really worth using. There's really nothing else to say about this, honestly. Like, it's just, who cares if you're more likely to hit in a system you never really use, because you get more damage and the game is just faster and, honestly, in my opinion, much more fun by just ignoring its existence entirely. This is why every single perk overhaul on Nexus, at least everyone that has more than like 1,000 downloads, just completely overhauls these VATS perks to be something else. Because just about every single mod list for New Vegas uses like Jam, which replaces VATS with bullet time. Because basically everyone acknowledges that bullet time is just what VATS is trying to be, but just better in every way. And, Fallout 4 and 76 kind of lean in that direction too. Honestly, don't be surprised if Fallout 5 comes out in like 2030 and VATS is completely gone and just replaced with a slow time button that just has a VATS like HUD overlay. Because honestly, that's basically what Fallout 4 VATS already is. Comprehension is gaining 1 additional skill point for reading books and double the skill points for reading magazines. This perk is pointless. There's already more than enough skill points in New Vegas once you account for books and everything else that you can already max out without comprehension, so why ever take it? Computer Whiz can give you 1 extra attempt to hack a lockdown terminal. Everybody knows you just exit the terminal on the last attempt if you aren't like 100% sure that you have it right. So why would you ever take this? And Infiltrator is the exact way. They're the exact same thing. Let me just grab this so you can make 1 more attempt to pick a broken lock. Just don't force a lock like ever. Concentrated Fire is terrible because it's another VATS related perk. This one is every time you shoot a limb in VATS, your next attack on that limb has a higher hit chance. Problem with this perk really is also like it's level 18, guys. By level 18, you have enough skill with your weapons, and you can take like commando if you really want to use VATS, that like high accuracy weapons already have like cross map 90% chance to hit the head. And the other thing is, by like level 20-ish, when you can take this perk, if you need to hit the same limb more than like 2 or 3 times to kill an enemy, your build is probably not that good. Cowboy is S tier because weapons like the medicine stick are like top 5 weapons in the game, and this just gives 25% damage to that. But I'll read the whole thing. 25% damage done by dynamite, no one cares. Hatchets, no one cares. Knives, no one cares. Though some people probably care because there are some pretty decent knives. Revolvers, there's some okay revolvers. And lever action guns, which, come on, trail carbine, medicine stick. Yeah, this perk, if you're going to use these weapons, you're never going to not take this perk. Demolitions Expert, 20% damage with explosives. Again, this is another like S tier perk. Honestly, explosives in New Vegas, super underrated. They have fucking stupid range. They can clear entire cells on their own. They do stupid damage, some of them. Like, if you've never done an all explosives run through of New Vegas, you should really try it out because there are some explosives that on very hard, they'll like one shot and the marked men camp when you come out and like Ulysses takes Eddie from you. You can literally just throw like a Nuka-Cola nade down there and it will literally kill everyone. It will literally kill like all 7 marked men waiting for you because it just has the range of like that entire cell and it does like 2,000 damage. Educated, this is probably a controversial pick. So if you're tryhard min-maxing, there's no reason to take this perk because you can get 100 skill points by just grabbing most of the skill books, staying at around 5 intelligence, and not taking educated. But honestly, I'm going to put it in B tier because it really is just quality of life. This is 100 extra skill points roundabout if you take it whenever you can. It's close to like, I think like 80, or I'm sorry, like 90. This is like 90 extra skill points, which you really don't need. So honestly, I am going to bump it down to D tier because this perk, I view it the same way I view it as long haul. I made that connection in my head just now. And yes, I'm aware this is going to piss a lot of people off. This is a very cozy perk. If you don't feel like memorizing a lot of the skill books, then you could just take this. It doesn't really matter. But if you're actually trying to make like a perfect build, there's really no reason to take this. So I can't call it trash. Entomologist is you do an additional 50%, or I'm sorry. No, sorry. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. You do an additional 50% damage every time you attack a mutated insect. This perk is okay. This is the kind of perk you take to like finish off a build because you don't really have anything else to take and it is just damage and 50% is a lot of damage, and mutated insects are not really dangerous. I will say mods make them significantly more dangerous, like Vicious Wasteland, for some fucking reason, makes giant mantises do like 200 damage. I don't know why, but it's a shit ton of damage against a sort of common enemy type that is sort of dangerous. Like, let's put it this way. Would you rather have 50% damage versus an enemy that you kill like 250 of throughout a game? Or would you rather have just 10% damage versus an enemy type you might kill like 20 or 30 of? You see what I'm saying? Maybe I'm vastly underestimating the number of women you kill in New Vegas. Maybe you're a true based schizo Elijah Legion pilled trad wife beater, and these perks are higher. But I just imagine having a much bigger damage bonus versus an enemy type you fight much more. And honestly, like fire ants are just much more dangerous. Explorer is terrible. Locations are marked on your compass. This is all locations are marked on your map. They're already marked on the compass. You can just go walk to them. Eye for an eye. This perk is interesting. I actually forget what this one does off the top of my head. Of course, my brain would blank out on a perk right now. For each crippled limb you have, you deal an additional 10% damage. So this perk is interesting because honestly, this perk is kind of A tier. The problem is setting it up. You have to like make sure only your head or torso is broken, because really most mods in New Vegas disable the head concussion effect, and they just make it so your VATS accuracy is reduced. I know I said vanilla, and in vanilla, you can honestly just say, I'll just deal with the head concussion thing because it doesn't really impact gameplay. It's just kind of annoying. And your arms being broken also don't really impact gameplay, especially for most weapons. Like, it's bad for, like, snipers, but outside of that, who cares? So, realistically, if you were true min-maxer, like, mid-maxer virgin cell, you could deal with both your arms being broken and your torso being broken. Basically zero downside for that. That's just 30% damage for free. If you're a true cell god, you can deal with your head being broken, which makes it 40% damage. So really, if you set this perk up correctly, then it's really good. If you don't set this perk up correctly, like you break a leg, it's kind of shit. I might bump this down to B tier just because I highly doubt most people will ever be able to use it effectively. But man, when you can use it effectively, it's like just 40% damage for everything all the time, which is like the biggest damage boost in all of New Vegas. It's just annoying. Fast metabolism. This is 20% hit points restored when using stim packs. This is the kind of perk you just always take this in every single build. Honestly, this perk might even be S tier because of that. I might change my opinion on that and move this up to S tier because really, there's no reason to not take this perk. Ferocious Loyalty. If I remember correctly, this perk sucks. Yeah, when you drop below 50% HP, companions get 50% DR. Companions in New Vegas kind of suck for the most part. I am well aware that the tide on this is turning and people are realizing that if you go 10 charisma and take like this perk, your companions can basically solo the game for you. But honestly, yeah, it's pretty strong. It's just really fucking boring. Like, yeah, who cares if companions with like maxed out tolerance stat do like 50% more damage? So you just give them they're basically unkillable. You give them a machine gun and they just run off and kill everything for you. Like, okay, I mean, maybe that's fun if you want to play like with a mod to get like 3 companions and you're just this like shitty frail courier and you're just coordinating other people, or you want to role play as like an NCR like takeover squad or some shit like that. But again, that's basically what the roleplay tier is for. Fight the Power. This perk is actually kind of interesting. Wasn't this one added with Honest Hearts? I think it was. Yeah, it was. +2 damage threshold. Nice. 5% crit chance. Nice. Against anyone wearing NCR, Legion, or Brotherhood of Steel armor. Okay, so especially for a Legion playthrough, this shit is like S tier. For an NCR playthrough, this shit is kind of just A tier. So crit chance is crazy, damage threshold is nice, and you do spend enough time fighting factions that are in charge that you actually get use out of this perk. Maybe it's more B tier, honestly, but like the toppest end of B tier possible. Because, like, think about it, and we already know finesse is S tier. We don't even need to talk about it. This is just 5 points of luck that counts even if you have 10 luck. So this is basically just 5% crit chance. So really, that's the thing with Fight the Power. If you're not doing a Legion playthrough, this perk fucking sucks. Like, it's just, okay, it doesn't suck. It's just not that good. Because if you're playing as NCR, when are you fighting the Legion that often? Like, genuinely. Because the Legion comprises so little of the map. But if you're doing a Legion playthrough, the NCR comprises so much of the map on the flip side that this perk basically gets used in like half of every fight you take. Fortune Finder is garbage. I kind of want to just rag on this perk for a second. Considerably more bottle caps will be found in stockpiles. And by considerably, it means considerably less than you get for selling a single piece of loot. So, do you just raise the barter stat, take like one trail carbine off of like an enemy's corpse and then sell that for like 1,000 caps? Or do you spend an entire perk point on Fortune Finder and then open up like 50 stashes to maybe get like 20 to 50 caps in those stashes to compete? It's just who cares? This is already a game where you just don't have to deal with caps as a drawback for anything. You'll like level 1 have like 50,000 caps from the casinos anyway, so who cares? Scrounger is another terrible perk because you could just buy ammo. Considerably more ammunition in stockpiles. You are aware Contreras exists, right? So if you don't know this, Contreras in Vanilla New Vegas has like 5,308 bullets, like 2,556, and like 5,000 12.7 millimeter. You can just buy all of that off of him. And then fun fact, he's one of those bugged merchants where if everything you give him goes into his inventory. So if you kill him, you just get all the caps and shit you gave him back. So you just buy that's another thing. He has like 200 boxes of 5mm surplus, which is like 20,000 bullets. So he has like 20,000 5mm, like 5,308 and like 5,000 12.7mm, and you can kill him and get it for free. So like, you know, okay. Friend of the Night. This is another perk that is fucking terrible. Let me read this one off if I can find it. I don't even remember what added this. Okay. Your eyes adapt quickly to low light conditions. Are you aware that, like, arguably the best armor set in the entire game just does this? The Elite Riot Gear? It just has this built into the headpiece. There's also a chem that does the same thing. Again, like, it's fine for roleplay, but who cares, you know? Ah, yes, Grim Reaper's Spirit, the only perk that had to get like severely gutted. Grim, okay. A kill in VATS restores 20 AP immediately. Garbage. So, again, VATS just isn't worth using. In Fallout 3, this perk had to get nerfed, like, unbelievably hard. So, in Fallout 3, VATS was just better. You got more damage resistance, you got significantly more crit chance, and the weapons in Fallout 3, just because they didn't have ADS and they literally just based on your gun skill flew off in random directions, that was kind of mandatory in vanilla Fallout 3. That, like, seriously, we take Tale of Two Wastelands for granted. Fallout New Vegas, the gun handling mechanics of New Vegas are so much fucking better. They made every gun work and shoot straight as long as you have the strength to use it, and they just made the gun skill scale their damage. In Fallout 3, the gun skill scales weapons accuracy, and there's no ADSing. It's just that weird over-the-shoulder zoom-in shit. So even with 100 gun skill and ADS, sometimes you would still just straight up miss multiple shots in a row, and it was fucking agonizing. So you kind of were forced to use VATS. And since VATS gave you so much crit chance, even if you weren't bothered by the ADSing, you'd still want to use VATS anyway for optimizing your damage. And Grim Reaper Spirit also used to just instantly restore your entire AP bar. So in New Vegas, you have to get a kill in VATS. VATS sucks in New Vegas. It's less functional, it's less buffs, and it only restores 20 AP. This perk is all sorts of bad here. Never take it. Grunt is another S tier perk for the same reason as Thingy Mabogger McDoohicker as Cowboy. This one is 25% more damage with 9mm pistols. Maria's pretty good. And SMGs. The Vicky and Vance one's pretty good. 45 pistols. A light shining in the darkness is a top 5 best weapon in all of New Vegas. And SMGs. Service rifles, which I'm pretty sure counts the survivalist rifle as well, which is like another super broken gun. Marksman's carbines, the all-American is god tier. Light machine guns, arguably like top 3 best auto guns. Frag grenades, again, grenade builds are already crazy. Grenade rifles and launchers and combat knives. So, yeah, basically take your pick. This is a must pick in an explosives build. This is a must pick in a pistols build. This is a must pick for like the survivalist rifle. Like, there are so many super powerful things that this perk benefits. Ah, yes, the old gunslinger. This is another pretty terrible perk. What the hell was that? 25% accuracy in VATS with one-handed weapons is bad because VATS is bad. Hand loader. This perk is S tier if you're willing to put up with the annoying bullshit that comes with it. So, when using guns, you're twice as likely to recover cases and hulls. That's nice, I guess, but it doesn't really work in Vanilla New Vegas. You kind of need a mod to make this work. You also have all hand-loaded recipes unlocked at any reloading benches, and that right there is why you use this. Hand-load ammunition is the best ammunition in New Vegas, period, because they usually combine the effects of blah 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 blah. They combine the effects of hollow points and armor piercing. Sorry, I don't know why I completely just brain stumbled there for a second. I sounded like a drooling moron, like, ugh. But anyway, fuck, I did it again. What an idiot. Anyway, hand-loaded ammunition usually penetrates like 5 to 15 DT while also giving a 20% damage increase to bullets. That is what most hand-loaded ammo does at the cost of 20% condition. Motherfucker, have you heard of jury rigging? Jury rigging, or the one night guy at the Mojave Outpost that fixes your gear for free? Extra condition damage is literally a non-factor. Then you consider that it takes the best of both ammo types, combines them together at the same time, and it ends up being the best ammo in the entire game. But honestly, if you're not willing to put up with the bullshit of constantly loading ammo and looking for stupid fucking shit to craft the ammo, then yeah, that's fine. But if you are willing to put up with it, and by the way, if you want a pro tip, just FYI, don't tell anyone I told you this. It's a single player game. You can take this perk. Look at your ammo total, and just spawn in the hand-loaded variant based off your total ammo total. No one's going to care. Because one, that's how you would hand load in real life anyways. You would just take, like if you wanted to over powder the ammo in real life, you would just take the powder out of bullets you buy from like Walmart and just put them in the casing. And then you would just overpressure the casing a little bit. So yeah, you might lose like 10-20% of the bullets. They might become unusable because that's where the extra powder's coming from, but okay. You like if you're hand loading, you already know what you're doing. Heave ho, 50% thrown weapon velocity and rage. This perk is really nice. It's honestly borderline S tier because explosives are a ludicrous build, and this perk is just kind of mandatory for them. It just makes your explosives travel further and faster, so it's like double dipping on itself. It's really nice. Heavyweight. This perk is weapons with a weight of more than 10 are cut in half. This does not affect weapons modded under 10 weight. Fuck you for that, Josh Sawyer. This perk is terrible. Vanilla New Vegas, weight restrictions are basically not a thing. You have so much vanilla weight capacity that you don't care about this. And like it said, most of the heavy weapons you can mod below 10 anyways. Here and Now is both simultaneously a perk you should never take and is also a perk you should never take at the same time. So this perk is funny because you can actually take it at level 50 to go to level 51, but then you give up the level 50 perks, which is just no reason to do that. And by level 50, you're already max skills. And if you're not taking this at level 50, why the fuck would you ever take this? You already get enough, like, XP at New Vegas to max out at level 50 well before you do all the content in the game. Hit the deck. This is another okay perk if I remember correctly. Yeah, plus 25 DT against explosives. This perk is really nice, and honestly, you kind of just take it in every single build because explosives are annoying as fuck, especially like mines. And 25 DT is a lot. So if you don't know, DT is just subtraction. If you have 10 DT and you get hit for 20 damage, the 10 DT subtracts from the damage and you only take 10 damage. So explosives, like the most damaging explosives are like the powder charges, the satchel charges in Lonesome Road, which, oh my god, fuck those, by the way. Mods make those things do like 1,000 damage. But in Vanilla New Vegas, even on very hard, they only do like 300 damage. So the plus 25 DT isn't too noticeable against them. But you know where it is noticeable? Grenade rifles. And do you know who uses grenade rifle? Seemingly every single fucking fiend ever. Hobbler the Cobbler. Hobbler, your chance to hit an opponent's legs and VATS is increased by 25%. Who gives a fuck? Like, I mean this genuinely. Who gives a fuck about... This is just commando for melee weapons. Melee weapons already, like, benefit arguably the least from VATS in the first place, apart from just using their special attacks. Which, like, okay. Again, pretty much every modern mod just makes those attacks, like, not tied to that system. But it's just all bad. You don't even want to be in VATS with melee weapons. It lowers your attack speed significantly. And, like, the times you do want to use VATS with melee weapons, it's complete overkill because the enemy's basically frozen while you're just sitting there wailing on them. Like, I don't know how that would even be satisfying to play. Because when it doesn't work, you feel like an idiot. And when it does work, you feel like an idiot. Because when it does work, the enemies bug out and they just don't attack you. And you just attack them like 8 times for free. Like, sure, it's strong, I guess, but it takes forever and it's not fun. And when it doesn't work, you get, like, stuck in the animation. And then, like, you have to wait for VATS to force close itself while the enemy just attacks you. And you're like, duh! Home on the Rage. Whenever you interact with a campfire, you have the option of sleeping with all the benefits that sleep brings. This is not Skyrim Requiem. I do not care about the well-rested bonus. Sorry. Cool roleplay perk, but not important. Also completely invalidated by the Roughin' It camp kit in Lonesome Road. Hunter. This perk is kind of okay, but you would never really take it. In combat, you do 75% more critical damage. Holy shit. Against animals and mutated animals. Like, it's okay. You know, this is the kind of perk you take at, like, level 48 when you have nothing else to take, and at this point, you just, you know, doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Implant GRX is the best perk in the game, and anyone who says otherwise either hasn't used it or doesn't understand how good it is. So, for one, Implant GRX. Let me read you the actual description before I start glugging this. Okay, so, Implant GRX. Oh my god, okay, there it is. You gain a non-addictive chem injector. This perk may be taken twice, with the second rank increasing the effect from 2 to 3 seconds, and uses per day from 5 to 10. So, Chemist will double this effect. So if you don't know what this is Turbo. If you've never used the Turbo Chem before, I wouldn't blame you. It just says Turbo +1. Turbo is like Max Payne's slow-mo, where you move at full speed, but everything in the game basically just pauses. So it's like better bullet time. This is 10 uses of a 3-second long pause button. Chemist makes it 10 uses of a 6-second long pause button. Implant GRX is every 24 in-game hours, you get 30 seconds of the game being paused while you still get to attack. With Chemist, that turns into 60 seconds. It should be pretty obvious how something like Implant GRX plus Chemist plus and Stay Back is a situation where you can pause the game for 60 seconds while every attack guarantees a stun on an enemy, and you can attack, like, because the game's paused, like 20 times per second. It's fucking absurd. Implant GRX is the kind of perk that if post-patching existed when this game came out, this shit would have gotten probably just removed from the game. This is like the Grim Reaper spirit of New Vegas. In Shining Armor is bugged and doesn't work. But I'm going to talk about it as if it were not bugged. So if it was not bugged, it is granting 5 DT against energy weapons, while wearing metal armor, garbage, with a further +2 DT while reflecting eyewear helmets. So that's actually pretty good. If this perk literally was just gain like plus 5 DT while wearing reflective eyewear helmets, it would actually be like an S tier perk that you take in every single build. But it's a trash perk if it works, and it's a trash perk because it doesn't work. Intensive training is honestly, it's like something you should never take, but I kind of want to put it in D tier. The problem is, unlike Fallout, no, this is New Vegas. This goes into trash tier. So in New Vegas, special stats don't really matter. And the special stats that do matter, luck and endurance, you just max them both out at the start of the game because charisma literally doesn't matter. So the starting perks plus dumpster charisma is enough to get 9 endurance and 9 luck, which is all you need. The rest of your like special points, you're only putting them in for specific perks that you need. And I guess like there you might take 1 rank of intense training, but you really don't need to. Like, and the most common use for intensive training is to take 1 hit of it to get sniper. That's like it. And then you do that right before you take sniper, and you just accept that you get to take 1 less good perk later in the game, which honestly fair because by that point you don't care. I guess I'll put intensive training in D tier because there's at least 1 use I can think of for it to be pretty good. Irradiated Beauty. This perk fucking sucks. Sleep removes all rads. Hardcore only minus 100 rads. This perk is terrible. Radaway is so common. I have never had radiation be a problem in any Fallout game ever, not even the originals. Radiation has never been a problem in any Fallout game in any circumstance ever. Junk rounds. This is hand-loaded, shittier crackhead brother. Junk rounds. Which thing added junk rounds again? I don't even remember because nobody takes this fucking perk. It's dead money. There it is. Wow. You can craft ammunition using scrap metal and tin cans. You can fucking eat my ass with a tin can or scrap metal. This joke is falling apart. Who gives a fuck? No, seriously, who cares? Ammunition is not in short supply, especially if you're playing Tale of Two Wastelands and you just rush the pit's ammo press. Like, who cares? Also, it can't be bent tin cans, which is really fucking frustrating because bent tin cans make up the majority of the tin cans you find in New Vegas. So, like, it's like the designer that made this perk was like, man, I fucking hate making this perk. Jury rigging is honestly not S tier. It's not A tier. It's not B tier. It's not C tier. It's not D tier. In vanilla New Vegas, their jury rigging is trash tier. Now, some of you are going to gasp. There are going to be so many New Vegas heads that hear this and go like, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Jury rigging is so overpowered. It's so broken. If you just take Confirmed Bachelor, which is a better perk because it gives you damage, you can get unlimited free repairs from the guy at the Mojave Outpost. That completely invalidates jury rigging as a perk. Because why bother spending a perk to take jury rigging to repair weapons with basically anything when you could just take 1 fast travel to the Mojave Outpost, go through 1 dialogue box, click repair all, and there you go. You see what I'm saying? Do you see the logic here? Jury rigging, at best, is a quality of life perk so that you can just skip going back for repairs. But when you consider that vanilla New Vegas has a merchant with 100 repair skill, so he'll max out all of your gear, and you don't ever have to pay for it, why the fuck would you ever take jury rigging? In an optimal playthrough, jury rigging is a do-nothing perk. And, like, just listen to my words. You know I'm speaking facts right now. You know this is true. Okay, Laser Commander. This is one of those crazy broken perks. This is already going into game breaking, and now we can start talking about this. Laser Commander. And honestly, while we're here, where is Light Touch? Where is Light Touch? Hello? Light Touch? There it is. This is another game-breaking perk. Okay, so Laser Commander. You do an extra 15% damage, which is completely unnecessary, by the way. And 10% extra chance to critically hit with any laser weapon. Now, you might be saying, Tanner, why is this perk game-breaking? Like, It's good, but not game breaking. And light touch, let me read this one out as well. Light touch. While wearing light armor, which is the best armor in the game, you gain 5% critical hit chance, and enemies suffer minus 25% critical hit chance. Okay, yeah, whatever. So, Laser Commander and Light Touch both have the same game breaking effect where they are not true, or I'm sorry, they are not real crit chance. They are called true crit chance. So, let me give you a very quick primer on how New Vegas crit chance actually works. Every weapon in New Vegas is a critical chance multiplier. It takes your crit chance and either just accepts it as is, or gives it a bonus, or in most cases gives it a penalty. So, for example, a Gatling laser has a 10 times critical chance penalty. So if you have a 10% crit chance, say you have 10 luck, you only get like a 1% crit chance with it. Well, Laser Commander and Light Touch are broken in that they affect base crit chance, which means they are not affected by any modifier. Now, this can be bad as well, by the way. So, Light Touch and Laser Commander, for like a weapon that has bonus critical hit chance listed on it, it doesn't actually gain anything from it, which is why these perks are game breaking, because they clearly are not meant to work like that. But if you take Light Touch and Laser Commander, you have a 15% chance to critical with any automatic laser weapon. Then you consider that the Spurtlewood unique weapon from the Van Graffs is already like the highest vanilla, no perks affecting it, DPS weapon in the game. Overcharge electronic cells are like the best ammo type in the game. The Spurtlewood, just think about how many things are working in your favor here. The Spurtlewood is like the highest DPS. It might be outdone by the CZ actually. So it's like the highest or second highest DPS, just base weapon. Then you consider that it has arguably the best ammo type in the entire game. And then you consider that these two perks work best with it. So, the other thing to consider is light armor on its own is really good. Joshua's Gram armor gives more damage reduction than most medium armors, has no speed penalty, and comes with its own crit chance increase. So when you have 10 luck, plus finesse, plus Joshua's armor, plus Boone's beret, plus Laser Commander, plus Light Touch, the Spurtlewood, despite being a minigun that shoots like 4 times a second, has a 25% give or take crit chance. These two perks, the fact that they don't actually let the crit chance get modified after the fact, means they should be taken in every single build, and Laser Commander is single-handedly the reason why lasers are the strongest build in New Vegas. The Laser Commander Light Touch setup with the Spurtlewood overcharge cells can in one instance of that shooting, can straight up just kill the legendary Bloatfly in like one salvo. It's ridiculous. Okay, Lead Belly. And also, like, the Light Touch thing, by the way, that will work with, that'll work with shit that's not laser weapons as well. You could give that 5% crit chance to, like, any machine gun. Minus 50% of radiation taken from food and water. Who gives a fuck? When have you ever had this be a problem? Lessons learned. This is 1% XP gain per player level. This is terrible. So like I said before, you already, and where is Swift Learning? Because this is basically just the same thing. So these perks are terrible because even without these perks, you already have more than enough experience to reach the level cap without them. So why would you ever take them if you could get to the level cap without taking them? You see what I'm saying? It's just like, it's literally pointless. Life Giver is an S tier perk you should always take. It's like 30 HP just for free. Again, it's just the kind of perk that slots itself into every single build. And 30 HP isn't like a lot. Here, let me make sure I'm not going off modded numbers, actually. Life Giver. Yep, it's just 30 hit points. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with this perk. You take it after you take the more critical perks, but you do always take it because 30 health after you're like, let's say you have 80% damage resistance. Let's say you're at the cap. You have like 80% damage resistance. You're using elite riot armor, so maybe you have like 40, 35 damage threshold. So if you have like, let's just say 20 damage threshold and 50 damage resistance, let's make the numbers easy, and you get hit for 100 damage. Well, it'll get 50% subtracted, so it'll go down to 50, and it will then have the 20 subtracted from it, so it goes down to 30. So Life Giver, once you're like level 30-ish, is the equivalent of being able to take an extra anti-material rifle shot or an extra Deathclaw attack. Not that you really need it by then, but I mean, that's pretty good. The strongest, most damaging attacks in New Vegas, once you have your end game stuff going, Life Giver makes it so that you can just take an extra hit from the most damaging stuff. It's not bad. Light Step isn't really worth taking because, like, just don't walk into the mines, lol. The only mines you need to worry about really are the ones around the Powder Gangers, the ones in the Fiend territory, and the ones in Lonesome Road. Particularly in Lonesome Road, the ones right before the Cave of Abaddon where you fight all the fuckboys, the things they try to convince you are more dangerous than Deathclaws but just aren't. The Tunnelers. And the ones right after that, like when you get the guy that has the Lanius mask. Living Anatomy, this perk, if I remember correctly, it actually has one thing that makes you want to take it. Shows health, 5% bonus damage against humans and non-feral ghouls. Yoink. This is a perk you kind of want to always take for the same reason you take Bloody Mess. This perk is basically just half of confirmed Bachelor's effect if you think about it. But it also works on ghouls. And it's like, being able to see the health and damage threshold is just nice if you're a nerd like me and you want to just remember what's what and who's who. Like, how strong each enemy is. But really, you just take this because it's another 5% damage bonus. That's the only reason you take this. And that makes you always take this. Because 5% damage is automatically better than 90% of the perks in the game. Mad Bomber is an S tier perk. This perk is fucking ridiculous. Let me read it out for you. Mad Bomber enables you to create special explosive recipes at any workbench. Unfortunately, or well, I guess fortunately, this shit just lets you create fucking throwable nukes like your Liberty Prime. The grenades, like the quantum grenades and shit you can make off of this are stupendously overpowered. They, like, for example, you can make a nuke off this perk, go into, for example, the place where you get the first gun skill book. It's in between Prim and the Mojave Outpost, that little shack where the ambush happens. You can just throw one of these at that shack and kill all those guys. Kill the guy on the roof. You kill the guys behind the building. Or, like, you know that ambush that hits you right when you're going to Nipton? Like, where all the ants are and shit? You can just throw one of the grenades you craft at those guys. Just at that building even. And it's going to kill all of them. This basically lets you just create unlimited mini nukes, which then get affected by all your grenade perks. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Math Raff. This perk is fucking terrible. Yeah, reduces all AP cost by 10%. This perk is just awful. To put this into perspective, even in like a VATS-centric build with 10 agility and like Action Boy, I think with like a sniper, this only lets you attack like maybe one extra time. And I think you have to take Jet to make it do that as well. Like, this perk is not good. Meltdown. Foes killed by your energy weapons emit a corona of harmful energy. This perk is like okay. It's good enough that you will take it if you're going to be using these weapons. But it's not, I mean, maybe no, I'd rather have it over these. I'd rather have it over this shit. Yeah, this is kind of B, hovers on A tier. Because, like, it's okay damage, if I remember correctly. I personally don't take it because I just don't like this effect. And I always forget to go back and take it because there's always better shit to take. But, you know, it's not bad. Mile in their shoes. Okay, I guess we just take this off. We just get this out of the way right now. You've come to understand Night Stalkers. Consuming Night Stalker Squeezums now grants bonuses to perception, poison resistance, and stealth in addition to the normal benefits. Who gives a fuck? 5 points of stealth is basically a fucking skill book. Poison resistance, who cares? You can carry like 20 anti-venom for nothing. And +1 perception, who cares? And since we're here, let's get them's good eaten out of the way as well. Them's good eating. Any living creature you kill has a 50% chance to have the potent healing items, red paste, and blood sausage when looted. Okay, so blood sausage and thin red paste when you have 100 survival are actually better than stim packs when you have 100 survival. So in hardcore, this is just every enemy has a 50% chance to drop a super stim pack, basically. However, outside of hardcore, so in hardcore, this perk honestly goes like up here because it's just constant super stim packs every kill. But in non-hardcore, this perk is terrible. Yes, with 100 survival and this perk, it's still like every enemy is dropping a super stim pack. The problem? It's a super stim pack that heals you over time. Do I need to introduce you to the 150 stim packs in my inventory that are on the one hotkey? And if I somehow lose half my health, I just press 1 and instantly get it all back, which completely invalidates this perk. Misfortune and Mysterious Stranger are both trash tier perks because one, right? This is multifaceted. One, you have to use VATS. Okay, let's say you're fine using VATS. These perks are still trash because if you need to hit enough times in VATS for these guys to really show up, what are you doing? Like, if you're using a weapon that actually wants to be in VATS, which are usually single shot weapons like anti-rifles and snipers and stuff, you're already killing in one hit 90% of the time. So even if they show up, they aren't going to do anything. You know, this is not Fallout 3 where you have a super mutant overlord that takes like 30 seconds to kill and has a fucking special weapon that deals 50 raw damage through your defense to the player on 3 beams, which means every attack does like half your health. God, Bethesda, what the fuck were you thinking with that? There's like literally nothing that you even care if these guys proc on. No, there's 3 things that you care about these guys procking on: the giant robo-scorpion, Rar, and the legendary bloatfly. Outside of that, who gives a fuck, you know? Like, were you not dropping a Deathclaw in like a second flat on very hard? It's just pointless. Mr. Sandman is also terrible. Again, this is a perfect roleplay perk. And that's the thing. These are good roleplay perks. Like, all of these are decent enough roleplay perks. The problem is, this is not really a list where I consider the roleplay value of something. We are min-maxing here. We do not care if it is cool to walk up and, you know, Mr. Sandman someone. That's not what we care about. We care about what is the actual practical application of this, and the answer to that is literally 0. Mr. Sandman. Yeah, can instantly kill a sleeping non-player character and earn bonus XP when doing so. Who gives a shit, you know? It's just so, like, it's such an RP perk. Nerd Rage. Plus 15 DT and strength increase to 10 whenever health is 20% or lower. Yoink. If your health in New Vegas ever reaches 20% or lower, you are going to die. And, you know, that's cool. There's, like, this perk just never activates. And if it does activate, it's already too late for it to do anything. This perk would have been so much better if it just said, like, plus 50% melee damage and strength increase to 10 whenever health is 50% or lower. Then it would actually be usable. Nerves of Steel is 20% faster AP regeneration. Just get in the trash bin, dude. Night Person is another roleplay perk where you just get in the trash bin. Plus 2 intelligence and plus 2 perception between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Who cares? The head ninja in charge, my ninja, multiplies critical chance by 15%. I don't know why it says times 1.15 with melee and unarmed weapons, despite the description I'm reading this off the wiki. Despite the description stating it's a flat 15% bonus, and grants 25% damage with melee and unarmed sneak attack criticals. Basically, you always take this if you're using the weapons it applies to. Nuka Chemist. This one gives you like the Nuka grenades and stuff, if I remember correctly. I'm either confusing this with Mad Bomber. Uh-oh. Fuck. I'm going to put this in B tier just to be safe. Because I'm pretty sure you get one of the Nuka explosives, which are really good from this perk. Uh-oh. Sorry, my brain is completely blanking on this one. So you just have to take my word for it. Old World Gourmet, 25% addiction resistance, trash. 50% health bonus from snack foods, trash. Scotch, vodka, and wine now give health to their normal effects. I mean, maybe if it was a lot of health, but no, this is terrible. Pack Rat outside of hardcore is trash. Pack Rat inside of hardcore is like something you always take. Paralyzing Palm is like an S tier perk. I don't even need to read that. I already remember this. Can paralyze an enemy for 30 seconds with a VATS unarmed attack. Now, you might say, Tanner, but I thought you said VATS is terrible. Yeah, but if I have to enter VATS to get access to a special attack that immediately guarantees the disabling of the most dangerous enemies, think about this. The most dangerous enemies to an unarmed build are things like Deathclaws and like Cazadors and shit. Stuff that wants to melee you back. Paralyzing Palm only really works on those enemies. So the things that pose the greatest threat to an unarmed build in the first place, this immediately hard counters. You know, let's say like Legendary Deathclaw or some shit is running at you. Boom, Paralyzing Palm. It's done. It's dead. Also, 30 seconds is a stupid long amount of time. Dude, honestly, this shit could just be like, and stay back. This perk could just be a special VATS attack that just knocks the enemy over, and you would still always take it in an unarmed build. So the fact that it basically guarantees you can kill whatever the fuck you're trying to kill, yeah. Piercing Strikes is all your unarmed and melee attacks negate 15 point of DT. Again, this perk is crazy, especially on something like a chainsaw. You know, it's just, if you're going to use these weapons, you always take it. Plasma Spaz. This perk's pretty okay, if I remember right. AP costs for all plasma weapons are reduced by 20%. I do not remember it. I remember what the modded version of this does. This is terrible. The only weapon this is good for is like the one plasma rifle you get out of Repcon. But outside of that, it's like unusable. I guess it's also okay with the one special plasma caster from the Van Graffs. Let's put it this way. If you're dedicating to the VATS lifestyle and plasma weapons, you would take this. The problem is, one, plasma weapons are just worse than laser weapons. Do I need to remind you this perk exists? And two, VATS is terrible. Purifier. This is you do 50% extra damage with melee and unarmed attacks against centaurs, night stalkers, spore plants, spore carriers, deathclaws, and super mutants. This perk is actually pretty good. Like, it's easily A tier. 50% is a fuck ton of damage. Melee and unarmed is one of the stronger builds there is. And deathclaws pose the biggest threat to you with this build. So, you know. Super mutants can also be kind of dangerous, but not really. And all of the spore shit, you know, let's put it this way. This perk is okay because it covers the most dangerous thing to this build. And the total number of things that this perk affects will end up being like 15% of everything you fight. Pyromaniac, my beloved. So Pyromaniac, 50% damage to fire-based weapons. Now, if you all remember the shish kebab. The shish kebab with this perk is stupid. So fire-based weapons in this game aren't as good as they were in Fallout 3. Again, shish kebab. But they're not bad. So that's still A tier. If you're dedicating to that shish kebab life, you're still always using this perk. Quick Draw. When the fuck are you walking around combat encounter areas without your weapon drawn? Like, genuinely, you know? You see what I'm saying? This just makes you equip and holster weapons 50% faster. Honestly, dude, if this is the kind of thing you want, legitimately just console command it in. If you want to be like quick draw gunslinger, man, then like, sure. But like, if you're walking around fiend territory where you know you're going to get attacked, why are you holstering your weapon at all? Rad absorption. -1 rad every 20 seconds. Meet the IV of Radaway that has 50 Radaways connected to it that's plugged into my arm at all times. Rad Child. Regenerate 2 HP per second per 200 rads accumulated. Okay, so this perk, there's a lot of people. This perk, your understanding of this perk is seriously going to depend on multiple factors. Do you guys know that one meme where retarded people are like thing good, then the bell curve average people are like things suck, and then good people, again, like the top end of the bell curve, are like thing good? That's literally Radchild. Shitty players will take this because radiation bad. 90% of the player base thinks this sucks because they've never actually thought about it. And people that have actually used this perk know that it's really good. Because if you get like 400 rads and then you fast travel, it's just a full heal. Or you just wait for like 1 second, it's a full heal. This perk basically invalidates the existence of stim packs as a mechanic. So honestly, this perk is kind of S tier. No, seriously, you could just get like 200 rads accumulated, plus like solar power, plus like thingamabobber, the one implant, and then you just wait. And yeah, there you go. Rad resistance is 25% radiation resistance. Who gives a fuck? Rapid reload is like 25% reload speed. This is a perk that you always take in every build. Because, well, except for like Unarmed. But everything that shoots needs to reload. Reloading is the biggest DPS loss. It's like dying in an MMO. So you always take this. Retention is terrible because skill books really aren't that good. Who cares if skill magazines last for 3 real-time minutes? Buddy, if I need to use a skill magazine, I'm going to use the skill magazine, get the skill check, and then move on with my life. Robotics Expert is 25% damage to robots. This is a perk every single build takes. Because robots are very common and very dangerous. Think like sentry bots, Securitrons, if you ever have to fight those like in Old World Blues. The Scorpions in Old World Blues, for example. Robots are fucking everywhere, and whenever you meet them, they're actually pretty dangerous. So there's really no reason not... I mean, look at this list. There really isn't any reason to not take this perk. Yet basically every build takes Radchild, every build takes Rapid Reload, every build takes Life Giver, Living Anatomy, Bloody Mess, Sexuality perk, Critical perks. Then you take the one perk that enhances the damage for, you know, the weapon class you use. Then you take whatever roleplay perks you want for your build. So, like, you have more than enough perk points to always take this. Roughing It. This is one of those Lonesome Road perks, isn't it? Where is it? Roughing It. Sleeping outside gives well-rested benefits. Well-rested is just like extra XP. Again, even with... Dude, I play with Vicious Waste most of the time, which increases the XP needed to level up by 60%. And I still, without taking any XP perks, can end a playthrough that does like every side quest at level 50. If you like 100% New Vegas, even getting half experience, you will still level cap. God forbid you play Tale of Two Wastelands and you get to play through all of Fallout 3. Dude, if you play Tale of Two Wastelands, you basically need to use a mod that lowers the XP by 50%. Or halfway through your adventure in the Mojave and you go back to Fallout 3, you'll you know, you play through either all of Fallout 3, then go to the Mojave. It's just so, like, there's no real good way to do it. Even if you take Benny Humbles You, it's still not fucking worth it. Like, it's so bad in so many ways. You just don't care, you know? Run and Gun is actually a pretty good perk if I remember right. Yeah, right there. Halved weapon spread with one-handed ranged weapons while walking or running. This is the kind of perk that you always take if you're going to use these. I guess this is more of an A tier perk because it's more auxiliary. But pistol build is like the second best build in New Vegas. Max crit chance, light shining in the darkness. This build makes that, or this perk makes that build noticeably better. Ah, yes, Shotgun Surgeon. When using shotguns, regardless of ammunition used, you ignore an additional 10 points of the target's damage threshold. Yeah, this is S tier. Shotguns are an S tier build as is, and giving shotguns the ability to ignore damage threshold, like, this perk is almost game breaking. Because the biggest thing holding shotguns back is that each individual pellet is super resistant to damage threshold. But the moment you take this perk, this basically makes all of your shotgun shells like armor piercing. In fact, no, it literally does. Silent running. Running no longer factors into a successful sneak attempt. Just get into the trash bin. Slayer. The speed of all your melee and unarmed attacks is increased by 30%. Attack speed is like the biggest multiplier to the damage formula, so more of it is always going to be better. Sneering Imperialist. Alright, General Gobbledygook, get up into A tier. So, Sneering Imperialist is actually a pretty damn good perk, because let me read it out here. 15% damage and at VATS accuracy, no one cares. 15% damage to tribals and raider characters. You have an entire DLC where this is active versus basically every single enemy. Then you have the entire like Fiends faction, all of the Vipers, all of the Jackals. So basically, most every humanoid enemy you fight in the lower half of the map, this is affected on. And then, like, half of all the enemies you fight in the Vegas region are Fiends, which this affects. This perk is just universally really good. Snipers, get away from the windows. Sniper, 25% more likely to hit the head in VATS. If you were going to use VATS, you are going to use this. But if you're going to use VATS, you're going to stop watching this video long before we get to Sniper. You're going to tell me I'm an idiot and you're going to dislike the video. So again, VATS sucks. This is the best VATS perk in the entire game, but still, VATS is just not good. You know what else is better than VATS? Just shooting the head. You know? It's like, dude. Also, 6 perception, 6 agility. Man, I don't really want to raise my perception or my agility because both of those suck. But at least you can get this perk with an implant, so you don't have to do anything else to take it. Solar powered is plus 2 strength, 1 HP per second while outside from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. This perk is okay. It's slightly better than unusable. Let's put it that way. Strength is noticeably nice to have because it's also carry weight. And the HP per second is just nice because it's basically this just combines with Rad Child and the 1 implant. So you can get like 8 fucking health regen a second, which is actually pretty substantial. Splash damage. Explosives have 25% larger area of effect. If you're using explosives, you're always taking this. Spray and pray. Your attacks do 75% less damage to companions. Just don't shoot your companions. If you're going to use companions and you're going to use explosives, you kind of have to take this perk. However, if you aren't doing anything other than that specific build, okay, I guess I'll put it in D tier because there's at least one build where you want to use this. Stonewall, 5 plus 5 DT against melee and unarmed attacks and cannot be knocked down during combat. If you use a mod that makes it so knockdowns can actually happen to the player like ever, this perk is super nice. However, 5 DT versus melee and unarmed attacks, there is a significant amount of attacks that fall under that category. It's not just like legionaries. Like basically most every single animal also falls under this. So it's like 30% of everything you fight you just get 5 extra damage threshold against. Strong back kind of sucks, but it's noticeably better than burden to bear. Because again, you just don't care about having more carry weight. Even if you're a kleptomaniac, just carry the 1 gun you plan on building around, carry the 1 armor set you use, and then all of your chems, which all that shit's weightless in vanilla anyway, vanilla non-hardcore anyways. So realistically, once you've like not counting loot and shit, you should realistically only have like 50 at most weight in your inventory. Really, it should be closer to like 20-ish. Because really, you only need the 1 armor set and the 1 weapon. And like, that's that. So, in Vanilla New Vegas, that leaves you like 230 pounds to work with for looting. Brother, Habibi, my brother in Christ, you do not need like 10 strength, strong back, burden to bear. That's like 400 fucking pounds of carry weight. What could you possibly be using that on? Maybe I'm just so like mod pilled and super ultra hardcore mod coded. I'm so used to mods that lower the base carry weight down to like 100 that these perks actually see some use sometimes. But okay, let's put it this way. Like, for example, I'm used to like Josh Sawyer's mod, where you go down to like 100 carry weight, and then like with 5 strength to get like 150-ish, something in that ballpark. I'm used to operating with like 70 to like 100-ish carry weight as a baseline, okay? And even then, I still don't take these perks most of the time because I just don't really run into carry weight issues. Super Slam. All melee except thrown and unarmed attacks have a chance of knocking your target down. 15% for unarmed, 30% for two-handed melee weapons. So remember and stay back. Yeah, this is just that but worse. Tag. You already get enough skill points to max out every skill to 100 without taking tag. Terrifying Presence is literally the prime example of a roleplay perk. This is the prime example of a roleplay perk. There is virtually never a time you actually want to use Terrifying Presence if you want to like optimally resolve quests. However, you know you're always going to take those fucking options because they're funny. The Professional is a perk that you always take if you are using the weapons for it. Your sneak attack criticals with revolvers and pistols and SMGs all inflict an additional 20% damage. This is basically just better criticals, but for, that specific weapon type and for sneak crits. Toughness is a perk every single build takes because it's just 6 DT. Travel Light. While wearing light armor or no armor, you run 10% faster. Honestly, this perk is like top of A tier for the very simple fact that light armor is crazy because of light touch and Joshua Graham's armor. This is just another perk that makes it even better. Like, this is crazy. So movement speed is kind of game breaking because it will allow you to just break the AI. It also lets you just complete the game faster, which is worthwhile. Tribal Wisdom. I'm going to be real with you, Chief. I have no fucking idea what this perk does. Minus 50% limb damage from animals. That's terrible. Mutated animals and insects. Plus 25 poison resistance. And ability to eat mutated... Okay, so this is... Get out of here. This is cannibalism for insects. That sucks. Poison resistance is kind of terrible because you can just use anti-venom. And the 50% limb damage... Dude, how much limb damage resistance do you need? I have never, in my like 3,000 hours of playing Fallout 3 in New Vegas, I have never in a single time had my limbs fucking broken from a mutated animal. I genuinely don't think it has ever happened. It just doesn't fucking happen. Tunnel Runner. This is a Lonesome Road perk. 25% sneak speed while wearing light armor or no armor. I mean, this is okay. Do I really want to say this is trash? I mean, it's kind of like silent running, you know? No, it's not. What am I talking about? Silent run. No, in a mod, silent running makes this the same thing. In Vanilla New Vegas, silent running is just, yeah, never mind. So, sneak speed is okay. And it's another light armor perk, which is really good. Like, this works with the one sneak suit and stuff. Like, this perk's okay because sneak is really good. This perk is just kind of carried by the fact that it's sneak speed. And sneak is crazy. Like, for example, Tunnel Runner, the Professional, better criticals, Silence 22 pistol, you just move really quickly and you one-shot everything. Also, the implant from Old World Blues that gives you sneak speed, Tunnel Runner, plus light armor, no movement penalty, plus... So, like, Travel Light plus Tunnel Runner plus the implant from Old World Blues, and you kind of sneak at almost the same speed you just default walk at. It's a little ridiculous. Unstoppable Force. 4 times normal damage through enemy blocks with melee and unarmed attacks. This perk is okay. You generally don't ever want to be attacking through a block, but it's kind of inevitable, and this makes the block basically not do anything other than, like, interrupt you. Vigilant Recycler. When using energy weapons, you are twice as likely to recover drained ammo. You also have more efficient recycling when using workbenches. Who gives a fuck? Just buy more ammo and make overcharged. Vorcarious Reader. I'm going to be honest, champ, I don't remember what this fucking perk does. This is from Lonesome Road. Damaged books become blank magazines. Can copy existing magazines into blank magazines. Dude, if you still need skill magazines by level 22, you have like royally fucked your build up. Walker Instinct, +1 perception and agility when outside. Go away. Weapon handling. This makes it so that weapons require 2 less strength to handle. You get +1 strength from Implant. You get +1 strength from Old World Blues. So you should by default have about 7 strength. So the only weapons you really can't use are like anti-material rifles, which is one of the worst guns in the game. The sniper outclasses it in every single way. Like the LMG and like rockets. Okay. Well, you can also wear power armor to completely circumvent that. Ah, yes, the level 50 perks. Okay. I need to talk about these because these perks really annoy the hell out of me. So, hold on. Right. Sorry. I just had to check my notes on this one just to make sure I wasn't about to make a fool out of myself. Okay. So, ain't like that now. Karma Reset. I saw a Reapy Ron video where he talked about these, and it really pissed me off. It annoyed me way more than I had any right getting annoyed by someone just being wrong on the internet. But it did annoy me for some reason, and that was honestly one of the big inspirations for wanting to make this list. Ain't like that now. Karma resets to 0. No one gives a fuck. Plus 25% AP regeneration rate. No one gives a fuck. 20% attack speed. This perk is already S tier because 20% attack speed is crazy. Thought you died. Plus 10 health per 100 karma. Dog shit. Karma resets to 0. Dog shit. Plus 10% damage, immunity to critical hits. Plus 10% damage, go on up to S tier, buddy. Just lucky I'm alive. Plus 4 luck, dog shit. For 3 minutes upon finishing a battle with less than 25% health. Immunity to critical hits, plus 50% critical damage. Okay, now I want to talk about this perk, and I want to talk about where Reapy Ron fucked up with this perk. Because this annoys the crap out of me. Okay, so read this line of text, but then right here, do you see this? This is like a hyphenated bracket. This means that this line of text, this less than 25% health, does not apply to this stuff. Now, I understand this is a weird-ass grammatical decision, and they should just make a perk description that isn't jumbled mumbo garbage. But if you actually have ever used this perk or have read it, like, on the wiki, you would see this right here. Permanently increases your critical hit damage by 50%, and this is permanent as well. So Reapy Ron fucked up because he thought that these effects only happened when you exited the fight with that much health. But no, this is just Better Criticals 2. Better Criticals is already universally regarded as like the best, the best perk that doesn't just have some weird bullshit associated with it. This is already considered like the best perk in New Vegas, arguably. Better Criticals. It's like top 5 easily. And Just Lucky I'm Alive is just that. Ignore all of the other text, but then just consider that this is just a level 50 version of Better Criticals, and you should always take it in every build. Okay, there you go. I wanted to do this for quite a while. I hope I'm not too quiet. I turned the volume down a little bit, just a smidge.